Sous chef de l'État.
Дамы и господа, его превосходительство, президент Буркина-Фасо Ибрагим Трауре.
Well, new details are emerging regarding the meeting that President Ibrahim Traore of Burkina Faso had with Vladimir Putin, the president of Russia, in a bilateral meeting that they had after the victory parade. You know about the victory parade, this particular special meeting that was held by Russia, and Russia invited close allies across the world, including Burkina Faso, China, and North Korea, in one podium to share or celebrate the victory parade. Well, in this video, I'm going to tell you about the special request that President Ibrahim Traore made to Vladimir Putin, which is something peculiar, something that most African leaders do not ask, that President Ibrahim Traore asked President Putin to do for his country in that bilateral meeting. Well, this is bona fide. If you haven't subscribed, kindly subscribe and hit that notification button so that when I release something new on President Ibrahim Traore or Burkina Faso, you get notified as soon as possible. Well, since 2022, when President Ibrahim Traore came into power in Burkina Faso, a lot has changed in that country, more so the ties that it had with international partners. Well, the first thing was that Ibrahim Traore said that the ties that Burkina Faso has been having with France are not beneficial to the country. And Burkina Faso moved away from France and started making new allies across the world. One of the allies that has been very close to Burkina Faso has been Russia. And this perhaps is the reason as to why Burkina Faso and the president, Ibrahim Traore himself, was personally invited to the victory parade by Russia to attend among other dignitaries across the world. And of interest was what President Ibrahim Traore would ask President Putin to do for his country, because we are used to many African leaders going outside the continent to meet the presidents of developed countries to ask for aid. But it was very, very different with President Ibrahim Traore, because as reports are pointing out, President Ibrahim Traore did not ask for military or economic aid from Russia. In fact, President Ibrahim Traore went on to ask Russia not to assist it in terms of military aid, knowing that Russia is still at war with Ukraine. But instead, Traore went on to ask Russia to assist its country in knowledge and also help Burkina Faso to educate its young population and end conflict in the country by battling jihadists. Well, this is a different way of how Africans have been approaching the problems that have been facing the country. In this particular bilateral meeting that President Ibrahim Traore and Putin had, you can see a different way of approach, because Traore asked President Putin not to assist its country in terms of military aid, because they said they understand the situation that Russia is in right now, that military aid perhaps could be strenuous, and perhaps Ibrahim Traore's policy is not to ask for aid. He instead says that he needs the children of Burkina Faso to be educated, and he needs just to borrow the knowledge that Russia has so that he can apply that knowledge in his country to fight the jihadis that are causing havoc in different parts of the country. President Ibrahim Traore also drew parallels with Russia. He went on to say that despite all the sanctions, Russia manages to remain at the forefront of the international stage. It's a lesson for all of us. This is the similar situation that is facing Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. These countries that are forming the alliance of Sahel states, they were in ECOWAS, and they say that ECOWAS is not assisting us to build whatever we want to build. And ECOWAS on the other side say that you have to be part of us, because if you're not part of us, we are going to impose sanctions on you. And ECOWAS went straight on to impose sanctions on Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso because they had a different way of leadership in their country. They say that these countries have coup leaders, they are usurpers, and all that. The ECOWAS community say that they are not going to accommodate Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. Well, this is now what the Burkina Faso president is saying, that it is a lesson for all of us, that Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger were ousted by ECOWAS, but they are still flourishing. Burkina Faso president is now known across the world. This is a country that many said that will not go anywhere because now they don't have ECOWAS. They formed their own cooperation and they say that we don't even need ECOWAS right now if we have the three of us and we have people who are now interested to be part of us. And this is also now in line with what Russia is doing, because after 2022, when Russia invaded Ukraine, there have been sanctions against Russia by the Western world. UK, US, France, and all other countries imposed heavy sanctions on Russia. And Russia, on the other hand, now say that we are now going to concentrate in making allies in other parts of the world, including Asia and Africa. Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, these were countries that came very close to Russia and have been benefiting from the cooperation with Russia since then because of these sanctions that were imposed to Russia. And they say that we can now focus our energies in different parts of the world. The Burkina Faso leader also noted that they have very close partnerships with Russia in terms of military assistance. And President Putin went out to say that he is very ready to assist Burkina Faso to fight the jihadists in the country. In fact, if I quote the words of Vladimir Putin, he said that we are united by the common goal of combating terrorism and that Russia will continue to support Burkina Faso in suppressing radical groups and training officials. Those are the words of President Putin himself, the president of Russia, about helping Traore to fight the insurgencies in his country. He is continuously fighting the jihadists in his country. He's also fighting other groups that want to take over power in Burkina Faso, having sustained about 19 attempts on his life. He's a man who is on the lookout regarding his life and his role as the president of Burkina Faso. Well, I will continue to keep you informed of the latest of what is happening in Burkina Faso and Ibrahim Traore. Keep it bona fide.